We're going to keep this going. We're going to get to this next segment of the show. It's everybody's favorite. You know what it is.
Reaching for the stars.
What we like to do is just point out how people reach in their conclusions about faith and spirituality and theology to make, and a lot of times they're just making really asinine, harmful points that keep people bound. And because revelation has been used so much as a fear tactic about hell, and it has been used as a form of behavior modification, I thought, why don't we do a reaching for the stars with somebody talking about hell, particularly hell with Black people. So we're gonna watch this, and then Dr. Parker, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna come to you as soon as this is over, because I really want to hear what you got to say about this, because I know you don't play around with it. So let's take a look at this, and then we gonna unpack it a little bit. Here we go.
You know what? I bet you there's a lot of Africans that if they hadn't have been brought over, not saying it was right, don't misunderstand, not justifying the slavery in the situation, but God, I still believe, used it. And now I'm sure there's a lot of Africans that got the gospel, and they're in heaven right now because they got the gospel. You know, what would be better? For them to have lived their entire life in Africa free, doing their voodoo or whatever, and then dying and going to hell, right? Or what happened? And then they go to heaven. They get the opportunity. Now, again, it doesn't justify it. The ends do not justify the means, but this is how God works. This is what God does in the Bible. And we have Black people in here. I don't think any of you guys were ever slaves. I was never a slave. It's like, white privilege. You were never a slave. You were never living during the time, unless you're very old, like 60 or 70 maybe, or 80 years old, you're never even living during the time where segregation was a thing in this country. I mean, what are you crying about? Nothing even happened to you. You're just making up stuff. You can't look at the facts that I was reading and just attribute that to some kind of white privilege. It's not real. Get over it. Quit having all the excuses. Why don't you take some responsibility for your choices, be content with whatever situation you were born into, and make the most of it.
Well, Dr. Parker, do you have any thoughts about that?
Oh, hell yeah. First of all, the Ethiopic Bible is the most complete Bible because Christianity was in Africa first. So he needs to learn some respect. They think that Africans did not have Christianity, but Africans had the most complete Christianity before Europe had any damn thing. So they need to shut the fuck up. That's my thing. And any Black person in that church need to tip the hell out. I don't know what Norcross is smoking, but they need to shut the hell up.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's like the fourth time I've played the shots fired alarm in this recording today. My God. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. And I also want to say this, like, yes, Christianity was in Africa first. And I also want to point out, because some people take that and they twist it. I know Dr. Parker's not doing that, but I know we hear a lot of people who will say Christianity was in Africa first, so we shouldn't question anything about our Christianity. And that's not true. We shouldn't question anything, because Christianity was in Africa first. It was in Ethiopia, right? Ethiopia was never colonized, but they still had Christianity. But the Christianity that we got as indigenous to West Africa, it went up through Europe, got whitewashed, repackaged, and then handed to us. So what we try to do here is like,
the colonizing Christianity.
Exactly. Because my boy Tim Carruthers always says it's not Christianity, it's Christianities. It's multiple, right? So then the question becomes, what brand of Christianity are you practicing?
Yeah.
And the Western fundamentalist version of Christianity looks nothing like the Ethiopian Christianity, the Orthodox Christianity in the Eastern world. My good friend Dr. Otis Moss III always talks about. He's like, in Eastern Christianity, it ain't about evangelism. There's no evangelism. It's all about embodiment.
That's it.
It's all about how do you live the way of Jesus. And if you live the way of Jesus enough, he said, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me. So when you just live it, people gonna be like, yo, what is that? Like, how did you come to these conclusions? Why do you treat people the way you do? Why is it you? That is how you draw people. So you don't have to evangelize when you just treat people right.
And that multiplicity is built within that diverse canon. We have to realize that that diverse canon allows the multiplicities of Christianity. And even our limited canon, our limited Protestant canon, also allows the diversities of Christianity. People just don't want to read that diversity.
Yes. Yes.
We got to get better at that diversity.
That's it. Right, because Christianity is universal, not uniform. It's all different, right? We practice it the way we received it. First, I feel like everybody needs to get the hell out of that. That was the laziest exegesis and the most foolish preaching that I've ever heard, right? Because one, it was unprepped and unprepared. I have a serious problem with preachers stepping into the pulpit unprepared, and it was obvious that he had no preparation and no thought through his message. And some people will say, especially in Pentecostal circles, they'll say, hey, we got to allow room for the Spirit. That wasn't the Holy Ghost. That was foolishness that spoke, right? Because last time I checked, the same Holy Ghost that's in the pulpit is the same Holy Ghost that's in the study. And so he stood up there unprepared with foolishness to preach that came out of his own thought process, his own understanding, leading people astray with information that wasn't textual, that wasn't biblical, that wasn't historical, and that wasn't full of hope.
The notion that your suffering here is what makes way for your pleasure in paradise in the afterlife, that is a doctrine that was created to pacify enslaved people. Okay, so I want to connect those dots, because when you hear Christian influencers and pastors constantly talking about the importance of your suffering and how you need to suffer well, you may have heard this from people like Sufferella, right? That goes back to a doctrine that was created to keep our ancestors pacified. So look, just suffer here, just go through all of the hell here so that you can experience heaven in the afterlife. So they had us experiencing hell here, building their heaven on earth, while they told us to wait to the afterlife before we could have our heaven. So when you have people like Jackie Hill Perry constantly telling you that you need to suffer, she is practicing the Christianity of the colonizer. And that's why when people say, oh, what's wrong with Jackie Hill Perry? You don't understand the theology of suffering, do you? Because every time she opened her mouth, she's talking about suffering. She's indoctrinating you every time she opened her mouth. But we have been convinced that our suffering is somehow holy. Our suffering is somehow God's will for our lives. Look, suffering happens. It does. But in the words of my good friend, Myron Randall, why suffer long when you can leave? Why choose suffering? If there's a way for you to escape the suffering, come on, somebody, Underground Railroad, then you should escape the suffering, because I don't believe it is the will of God for your life to just live in suffering when you have a way of escape. Rich Auntie, what?
Look, don't tell me I'm high. Okay. I only got 2 points. The first one is everybody talking about heaven ain't going there. Okay. Everybody talking about heaven ain't going there. And second of all, I will continue to disclaim that I am not a pastor. I am not a theologian. These are my lived experiences. So when I say what the fuck I want to say, I'm gonna say it. So shut the fuck up, you bitch ass wigger. I am tired. Like, I was so offended. Like, could you imagine being a Black person in their congregation? And it's giving, but I have Black friends. It is what it is. Like, I can't deal with that. I spent my 20s in a sunken place sainthood, being in white church spaces while people were preaching that shit at me, and just disembodied, like in the movie Get Out. When you see the Black people and they're stuck, like, that's where the fuck I was. So that was horrible.
Wow.
Like, this man talking about, I mean, I know slavery was bad, but I mean, like, this is, boy, if you don't shut up. And any Black person sitting under white pastors, listen, such was I. Okay. So this is not judgment, but you can do better. You deserve better. And that don't mean you have to be like Jeremiah Wright. That don't mean you have to be like in super blackety black spaces, but the Starbucks church will kill you.
Yeah.
Please get out. Yeah. How is that feeding your spirit? To be in a church where they're like, this is why, as an educator, I just get confounded, because how can you talk about enslavement and slavery like that without any type of reality?
Yeah.
Like, how can you tell? My grandfather was born in Mississippi. He fled Mississippi at the age of 14 because his best friend was lynched and they were trying to lynch his ass too. He literally fled across to California. He was 14. He forged some papers to get into the military and built a fucking life. How dare you, knowing your white ass ancestors are in these, you taking pictures right now with Alcatraz Island or Alligator Alcatraz, your same fucking parents, grandparents, great-grandparents was participating in spectacle lynching. Like, your same parents were the parents spitting on Black children when it was integration time. Get the fuck out of here. Get out. That's all I got.
Rich Auntie is coming through hot. Yeah, all of that, man. All of that. Like, I'm telling you, and I also want to just point out, like, when I mention Jackie Hill Perry and her theology of suffering, I want to be clear. She's not the only person preaching that theology. I'm just using her as an example. Again, I don't hate Jackie Hill Perry. I hate what she represents, but I call her name so that you can see it very clearly in her, so that you can then identify it in other people who are teaching you. Because anybody who is teaching you in that way, because again, the theology that white man was preaching is the same theology that she teaches. She's just doing it in blackface. And I just really want us to, like, come to terms with that, so that we can seek out voices that actually lift us up, that actually empower us to live not just faith in Jesus, but the faith of Jesus. And here's what I know. You can have the faith of Jesus without being a Christian. Because again, the faith community, this digital space that we have created, is only like 1/4 Christian. Most of the people in this community do not identify cleanly as Christian, but guess what? We have all committed to living the way of Jesus. And the way of Jesus is not to just suffer just for the hell of it so that other people can live in their heaven right now. So if you're still here, hit the subscribe button and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about the video. And if you want to see the entire recording, it's exclusively available in our Patreon. The link is in the show notes. You can either subscribe or you can just purchase this recording a la carte. We'll see you next time as we continue to deconstruct harmful theology and build beloved community. Peace out.